My name's Liz Lazar-Johnson. I'm the executive director of Via Heart Project. I started Via Heart Project in 2010 with the sole goal of getting AEDs into schools and communities and saving lives on the school campus and in some of the smaller communities that couldn't really figure out how to start public access defibrillation programs on their own. So we work in a lot of counties in California, helping them get widespread AED programs within those counties and really trying to increase the survival rate within those counties. Well, we work with different healthcare districts and hospitals in counties on the program. So, for instance, we work with Sequoia Healthcare District in San Mateo County, and they fund the program, get AEDs into all the schools, a lot of the businesses and organizations within South San Mateo County. And we've seen the survival rate within the county really increase over the last few years. They now have several hundred, almost 400 AEDs within that county. And what we're finding is now that the police cars have them, the schools have them, they're in the community centers, they're in places in the public, and a lot of the community is being trained on CPR, that it's increasing our bystander response rate and it's increasing the number of people that are saved from cardiac arrest. I started working with AEDs back in 2003 down in Monterey County. I was hired by Salinas Valley Memorial Hospital to help them with a public access defibrillator program. And I started by donating AEDs to some of the schools. And at first I did everything wrong. Like I would just ship a box to a school and pat myself on the back. And 2 years later I'd show up and the AED sometimes was still in the box. Sometimes it was tossed in a cabinet in the principal's office. The batteries were expired. The pads were expired. Nobody knew where the AED was. And so over the years I learned the right way to implement an AED program in order to make sure the AED is available for use at any time, in order to make sure the supplies are there and it's ready to go, no expired supplies on it, make sure it's, following all the health and safety code regulations, so the school's not increasing their liability by having this AED there. So it was a lot of trial and error over the years, but we finally figured out how to implement it the correct way. And our program just kind of handholds. It's a white glove service for schools and communities. We now manage over 800 AEDs in schools just in California. When I started working with AEDs back in 2003, nobody knew what an AED was. The very few people I met who had survived cardiac arrest happened to be in an airport with a nurse standing next to an AED cabinet. They were extremely lucky. And we worked a lot with the California State PTA on passing a resolution that they support having AEDs in their schools, and that really helped us increase awareness on the grassroots level in the state of California. And we continue to keep getting the word out. Educational awareness is our top priority. When it comes to doing a countywide program, say we do a program in Napa County with Queen of the Valley Hospital, we spent the first 4 years just increasing awareness in the community. That's all we did, education awareness. Sidewalk CPR events, getting the word out, letting people know what an AED was. And we find that once people know what an AED is and has had a 30-second explanation of it and can see it being used, it really only takes a minute. Then all of a sudden they're willing to use it in case of emergency. Well, I'd say an AED, think of it like a fire extinguisher. It's something you never want to have to use, but you're really glad it's there when you need it. An AED is something where we don't want to wait for the ambulance to get there. To have the power in your hands to save a life in a matter of minutes or seconds is really it's a game changer. It's really what's going to increase our survival rate nationwide. Today's AED industry is highly competitive, and sometimes I feel like people are just selling widgets, when in fact what we're selling is the power to save lives. And so it's hard for me to see sometimes different salespeople tell their clients that other AEDs aren't that great or don't work, when in fact I know somebody whose life has been saved by every single brand and model of AED out there. AEDs are still very expensive, so a lot of schools do have problems getting them. It's hard to justify the cost, especially because schools don't need just one AED. A lot of high schools we work with have 9 or 10 AEDs in order to get complete coverage. These schools are huge. So that can be very expensive. One of the things that's also difficult is the maintenance cost. Batteries and pads are something that someone who's selling an AED doesn't necessarily disclose up front how expensive that is, and sometimes it can be in the 10-year life of an AED, it can cost just as much as the AED just to maintain it and replace the supplies. So it'd be really great if we could figure out a way to make them more affordable and to make maintaining them cost less. The thing I hear more often than not when our AEDs are used is that people can't believe it actually worked. It's not just something that's for fun, or they can't believe it actually worked. And then they witness somebody being shocked by an AED and then literally coming back to life. For them, it's very profound.